So, FM26 has been with us for a few weeks now, and you guys have been asking in the comments constantly for my opinion on the game, and I haven't yet given it, and today we're going to talk about it. Now, there is a reason that I've been waiting, and I'll speak about that in a little bit. It's not because I've just glazed over your guys' comments. There was a reason why I was holding off. But today I'm going to talk a little bit about my thoughts about the game, as well as plans for the channel going forward. But it will be a bit of a talky video. It's just going to be me. There's no fancy football manager in the background. So if you're sick of this already, feel free to click off if you don't care about my opinions after all. I'm surprised any of you even do, but it's great that you do. But yeah, this is going to be a talky one, so feel free to join us in the experiments or the rebuilds that we're starting again soon. Obviously, it won't be long till one of them comes out, and this isn't going to be like a quick cut video or anything like that. It's just going to be me talking, because I'm quite passionate about this at the end of the day. But Football Manager is released. Now, it came out in beta for a 2-week period. I made a video right at the start of that period on FM Scout talking about the state of the game, as everyone was, because there were a lot of issues with it. But then from then, I chose to be silent for the reason that I wanted to give the game a chance, both for me personally, in terms of playing it a fair amount, because for all I know, the reasons I didn't like it could be because I'm so used to FM24 and whatnot, and they did say you'd need to give FM26 time as an experienced player. So I listened to all of that, I gave it time, and I feel like I've given it enough time now to make my thoughts upon it. And also, I wanted to give them a chance as well, and by them I mean Sports Interactive, because, I mean, if you don't know, the game released in a pretty poor state, which we'll get onto in a little bit, but I wanted to see, because it was beta, whether they'd fix it by the end of the beta, which I didn't have much hope for, but it's really hard to go in on a game that's still in beta when it's not technically finished yet. But also, I wanted to give them a chance to maybe take accountability, put a roadmap forward, see where they were going to go from there in terms of updates. And there has been a little bit of that too. But that's why I've waited, and now I feel like it's about time that I give my thoughts. Before we start, though, I will just say, this is not aimed at one particular person or anything like that, and I know there's human beings that make this game, so I'm not trying to upset anyone in that sense, but it is a game that's been marketed to people have bought it, and I think we're okay to give our thoughts on that. I don't think there's any problem in that. And secondly, I'm not in any way told by Sports Interactive what to say. In fact, Sports Interactive do tend to quite often invite creators down to the studio to see the game, and you'll see a lot of those guys were given early access to the game and made videos before the beta came out. I was not part of that. I've never been part of that, so I can't say I'd seen the game previously. I'd heard murmurings here and there about the state the game was in, but obviously it's all people's opinions at that point and not the general consensus. And whilst I'm 99% certain none of those people are paid to say anything or anything like that, I can assure you I'm not. And for those of you that might have seen on my Twitter post not too long ago, if any of you follow me on Twitter, it will be in the description, I'm sure. You'll see in the background, there is a Football Manager kit that they sent me. They basically sent me a little PR package with a notebook, pen, a nice cool like mouse mat, and a bag, and I was really appreciative of that, to be honest, because it's the first time I've actually been recognised by Sports Interactive in that sense, been sent anything, so that was really cool, especially when this is a game that I've made videos about for years and played since I was a kid, so to be recognised actually by them was quite a big achievement for me actually, but that's not going to change my opinion in any way. I know a lot of people were thinking it was almost like the creators were being bought off and were suddenly going to say nice things. That's not how it works. It's obviously amazing to receive these things and to be recognised, but I'm still going to give my honest opinion. I think anyone really should. I think in a position as a creator where you guys kind of listen to us a little bit and maybe even Sports Interactive listen to us, it's a good time to put our opinions forward. Now, this is all my own opinion, but I think if you looked at the Steam reviews when the beta released, it was in a state. The game was in a state, let's be honest. It was released to us unfinished. When FM25 was initially delayed and then cancelled, it gave them, in theory, an extra year to build the game. And I think a lot of us went into it expecting that now they've got a 2-year window from FM24 to FM26 to build that game. But what it sounds like has happened is when FM26 got cancelled, they basically scrapped that and started building FM26 off of the remains, basically, of what was FM25. Now then, of course, we got the release date for FM26's beta, and Mars Jacobson and Sports Interactive, whatnot, started pushing the hype train back. They did a few interviews, speaking about the game and saying that they didn't want to release a game that wasn't ready. And to be honest, I actually was quite down with that. As a consumer of a game, I don't want to buy something that isn't complete, and I was happy to hear, supposedly, that this game, they were only going to give us when it was ready. And so we received the game, and it was in a pretty poor state. I mean, you can see by the reviews on Steam and whatnot, I think it was the 10th worst reviewed game in history or something like that. And while some of them will have been people review bombing because they didn't like the game because it's not what they're used to, a lot of that will be genuine sentiment of people that are playing the game, that it just isn't a great experience to play. Now, I don't think it's a terrible game, mind you. nor do I think it's amazing, but I just don't think it's a great Football Manager game in terms of there's a lot of games worse than this, but what we've had before from FM, this feels like a step back or at least a step sideways. And I've consumed a lot of different creators' opinions on this, from Omega Loot to the round table between Dr. Benji, Lelujo, Zealand, and Work the Space, all of those guys talking about it. I'm sure I've seen plenty of other opinions too that I can't remember, but I found that my opinion kind of matches theirs, where I'm not necessarily a hater, and I know there will be people that hate on it for no reason, and also people that love it for no reason, but my honest opinion is it was a misfire on a massive basis, because there are some great things about this new game. The match engine looks way better, and I know it's no FIFA or anything like that, but for what we had before in FM to what it looks like now, it's great. Now, there's a lot of bugs in that match engine where things happen, and you think, how is that still happening? And I guess it's because the game is unfinished, which is maybe a key word that's going to keep cropping up in this video. I also like the new tactical system, but the new user interface just doesn't seem complete and doesn't seem right. Now, they pushed this idea that they were only going to release the game when it was ready. They said that, so we all got our hopes up expecting the game to be ready. The beta then launches, and there's an unheard of amount of bugs that they were trying to fix before launch day. So much so that between the beta and release day, I think it was 3 key updates were released, fixing things, and by God, they did try and fix things. They fixed a lot, and they are clearly working hard on the game. And then the game actually came out, and there wasn't even a release day patch. That's how poorly the whole thing was timed, that basically a patch from a few days before release day was the final patch they were able to get through before the game got released. So it was basically like the game released to no real fanfare at all. It wasn't like the game launches on this day and we fixed all of these things, get people back on board. No, it was released in a pretty sorry state with many an issue. The main one being, for me, the user interface. Now, bugs and crashes, I can kind of get by with. I've had a lot of issues with it making videos, but it was in a beta phase, and since beta, a lot of those bugs have kind of ceased, at least not all of them, but a lot of those crashes. There's still a lot of soft locks in the game where you'll go onto a screen and not be able to get out, and some of those things are really frustrating. But generally, the bugs and stuff, I wasn't actually that bothered about. It was the user interface as a whole, which wasn't buggy in a sense. It was just built poorly, in my opinion. This is a user interface that was meant to make the game better for newcoming players, to make it more obvious and less information in your face, but the new tile and card system, whilst I think everything looks better, I actually think the base skin of FM26 looks better than the base skin of FM24. It does not function better. In fact, a lot of the screens that you try and get to are harder to get to than they ever were previously. It now takes 5 clicks to get to something that used to take 2. Now, I can't give you the exact example of where that happens. It might be a bit of an exaggeration in terms of click numbers, but that's exactly how it feels. It feels like you're struggling against a game to get to the information you want to get to, and then some screens are just unfinished and poorly presented. Some take up half a screen. I remember the league screen, I think it might have been patched by now, I don't actually know, but when you used to click on your competition to see the Prem, it would show like 1 to 12, and then you had to scroll down to see the rest of them, even though there was a big section of the screen that just wasn't being used up because of this new tiles and card system, where instead of all the information being on the screen, you now have to click into something, and then there's a little pop-up window and all this, and it just doesn't work for me. I think it's way more complicated, and that is with me giving it time. I wanted to give it time because we were asking everyone else to that played the game, and they did say you'd need time to learn the game. I have learnt the game, I just don't think it works as well. There is an element of me not understanding it, but I understand it now. I just still don't think it makes sense. I think it's harder to see information. I think the information looks incomplete, and it all adds up to this idea that the game was unfinished. There's a lot of mini features that might not mean much and sell a game on their own point, but take you away from the immersion totally. I mean, the whole not being able to save team selection things, and again, a lot of this has now been fixed. There was an issue with the attribute colours where there wasn't even an option to change them, and again, some of these things have been patched as the patches have came out, and that's all you can really ask for since the game is released. But should the game ever have been released and marketed in this state? I don't know. I would rather them have waited another few months. Now, there is the argument that maybe they weren't able to wait a few months, and that's the reason they had to release it, but we got the game in the state it was in. And in terms of the future of Football Manager, this is the engine they're going to stick with, and it's likely the user interface they're going to stick with. I don't see them taking a whole back step and making it look like FM24. I think they'll try and find ways to merge elements of FM24 into FM26, but I think this user interface is going to kind of stay the way it is. Is it built for console? Is it built for PC? I don't know. No one seems to like it. I don't play it on console personally, but I know people that have bought it on PC and had major issues trying to play the game with crashes and whatnot, and not being able to find things and clicking through. And a lot of these people have played the game and never gone on it again. And that's a real damning thing for FM, which is a game that usually, it doesn't have the biggest audience in the world. I mean, it's getting bigger, but it's those people that love it just can't get out of it. You're so immersed in the world that you play so many hours, sometimes to our own detriment, mind you, but that's kind of what you want from a game that you're paying money for. And it is a brilliant value for money game. And it kind of still is, really, for the price and what you get. But there's just too many issues, and I don't understand why it was released unfinished, unless they were forced to because of deadlines and Sega maybe making them get a game out. I don't know. No one knows these things, but it's not in a great state, and it hasn't been for a while. They fixed some things, they are still fixing things, and it makes you wonder, how long are they going to be fixing things for? They already told us that there's an international management module coming before the start of a tournament that will be dropped to us sometime soon. But in between that time, are they just going to be fixing bugs and trying to work things out and slowly but surely making the game finished? If so, that is good, but it's not a place we should be expecting to be, buying an unfinished game and waiting for them to finish it. There are some game companies that have done that previously and get a lot of stick for it. And I think this is the same for me. I mean, they've released a game that isn't finished, and we're basically sitting here waiting for them to finish it. And in the meantime, yes, we can still enjoy the game, but for me, nowhere near as much. I've been making a lot of videos on FM this year. I can't say I've been playing it loads in the downtime outside of that. Obviously, I did at the start, but I don't find myself desperate to jump into a save that isn't appearing on YouTube, personally. Now, there is then the wonder for me that because they're spending all this time fixing FM26, when FM27 comes out, will it just be the same game, but just a little bit better? I really doubt, with all the hands on deck they've got trying to fix FM26, that someone's making the improvements for FM27 yet. And for that reason, I don't think we'll see a huge jump. Zealand described FM26 as a beta year for FM27 almost, and that kind of feels the way it's going. I don't think that's the way it should be going, mind you, but it feels like the way it will. And in this situation now, I think Sports Interactive need to own up, make it clear what they're going to do to improve the game and have some kind of roadmap, which I know deadlines usually haven't been their strong suit in the last couple of years, and that's probably been a big part of their detriment of saying we're getting things and then not giving it us. But I think it will help the community to know what you're aiming to do and by when. When are you aiming to have this feature in? Are they bringing in touchline shouts at any point? You know, online game modes, make your own club, all of that stuff. Now, on the page where you report bugs for Football Manager 26, there was a post from someone from Sports Interactive saying that they admit the game had came out not in the state they wanted, and they're going to try and fix it and make improvements and whatnot. But for me, I kind of notice it's a bit strange how like Miles is there as the head of Sports Interactive, really pushing this game. It's going to be great. It's great coming out. All the videos we saw looked pretty good, but then were they cutting out all the bits where it didn't look great before the game was released? And then when the game comes out, it's like silence again. And I just want more communication. Whether it's Miles just saying, look, it wasn't what we wanted, we're going to try and improve, an apology. I'm not saying we deserve an apology, but it kind of feels like we do. It just adds to what I've been calling for years, that I want more transparency and communication from Sports Interactive. And it doesn't mean that they need to say, on January the 1st, you'll get this. On January the 5th, you'll get that. No, I just kind of want to know, we're aiming to have this part of the game with you by January. We'll let you know if anything changes. We're then going to look to work on this and add this, this, and this. Because if you give the community a sense of expectation of when we might see new things added and things fixed, I think it will do them a world of good in terms of PR, which is probably at a pretty low point right now. Arguably the lowest it's been in the series history for a long while. There was this whole thing that with FM25 being cancelled, FM26 really had to hit the mark. I just don't think it did. I think it's left unfinished. Personally, from my own standpoint, making YouTube videos has been a bit of a slog. And the reason for that being I've had a lot of crashes trying to do what I want to do. There's things like where I try and replay a certain match, like let's say I win the World Cup, I go and then try and click view highlights, and it doesn't save it. The game crashes every time. Some games are just broken, it soft locks you, and it crashes. And that's just really annoying from a quality of life standpoint. And you might have seen I did a Perfect Player video recently. I try and do videos weekly. That one took me weeks to come out. At one point, I even made a video in FM24 and decided to give it one more go in FM26. And it tells you if I'm having to go back to a previous game to make a video work, the kind of issues we were encountering. Now, thankfully, the editor seems to be a little bit better now. I actually haven't personally been keeping up with every single patch note, so I don't know if they've done anything to fix it. But the first few times I used it, it was awful and not working. I paid, £7 or £8 for the editor, which for what I get out of it isn't a big sum of money because I'll be using it constantly throughout the year on my channel. But it's still for people that buy it to make changes to transfer budgets and stuff, to have it then not work was another thing. It's just like, this is unfinished. Why are you even releasing this? But yeah, the editor now didn't seem to crash me last time I used it, and I'm hoping that'll be good going forward. And we were able to make the experiment video in FM26, and we'll be doing more of them. Now, for those of you that like the Manchester United rebuild as well, don't worry. I'm going to be doing a mix basically for now of rebuild, experiment, rebuild, experiment. I know a lot of you love the long-term series and the rebuilds, and they still do well. But all you have to do, to be honest, is look at the channel's history in the last few months or so to see we've had some crazy success, and I thank you guys massively for that. Considering where we originally were, I was making videos about Football Manager years ago, basically just to myself watching, and now there's one video we've got up that's just surpassed 350,000 views, which honestly blows my mind, even now still. Quite a few videos hitting 100,000, and a lot of them are when I've tried different experimental things. So I will be doing a lot of stuff like that, as well as the rebuilds for the core members that enjoy that stuff too. So don't worry, if you don't like one kind of video, the other one will likely come soon. But hopefully you enjoy it all, because I think the quality has gone up massively, thanks to the help of my brilliant editor as well. I will be making videos on FM26, thankfully, we have got it working. But I don't know exactly the speed of things. I used to be able to say I could do things on a weekly basis. The way things are going currently, still trying to get my head around some aspects of the game, making it work the way I want, a lot of teething problems. I'll try and still make it weekly, but you might see a bit of a gap here and there because I only want to deliver you guys quality. I don't just want to shove something out for the sake of it. And I think that kind of pays off for both you guys in terms of a viewing experience, but also for me in terms of putting out better quality videos, mean they do better, which helps the channel, helps support me, and means I can do more of this for you guys and make more videos and make it more of a career for myself. But yeah, FM26, we're sticking with it. I'm not a huge fan personally. If you're asking me to give me a rating out of 10 for it, I honestly don't know where I might even say a 4, maybe a 5 out of 10. A lot of issues. It's still a good game compared to most games out there on the market. But because I know the history of how it's came about and all of the miscommunications that have gone on, it does sour my taste a little bit because I really was hoping they'd smash it out of the park. They haven't done it yet. They've still got time to fix it. My personal opinion is that the game is unfinished. Still enjoyable in aspects, but a lot of issues with it that I'm hoping they'll fix down the line. But I don't know if the issues that people are wanting them to fix, like the UI, they might fix how it works and functions, but I think that's going to be the UI that we see and use for a long time now, unless they go really back on it and make it look like FM24, but I doubt it. I think we're going to have to get used to it. I just hope it becomes more user-friendly, because right now it's unresponsive, it doesn't make sense, and it really takes away from what should be huge changes in the tactical upgrades and the in-match engine upgrades as well. So yeah, FM26 is a bit of a hit and miss situation. It was definitely released unfinished, and I just kind of want to know from now where Sports Interactive is planning to go with it. I don't think communication is a bad thing. Just don't promise things out and out. On this date, it has to be this. Just say what they're trying to do, what they are working on, where they see it going, their views on what has happened and why it's released in such a state. And I really hope they do acknowledge what's gone on and don't just assume that people are hating on it for the sake of hating on it because it's different. No, I think the majority of hate and disappointment with the game comes from the fact that it just doesn't work in a lot of cases, and it takes away from the immersion, and that's what FM was all about, kind of an escapism in that world. And a lot of you guys really enjoy that, and some people even rely on that. It is just a video game at the end of the day. It's part of my career, so I hope it gets better. But it doesn't necessarily affect me in that sense if it's good or bad, because we can still make some cool videos out of it. But yeah, it's just a shame to see it in a state it's in, and I hope it can improve and get better and get more people back on board. So fingers crossed it does. I'd like to hear your thoughts though. Let me know what you think about the game so far down below. Good to have a little discussion. Like I said, I'm not some shill that's just going to peddle the game and tell you it's amazing. I don't think any of the creators are really. But at this point, I'm just waffling, and I feel like a lot of this video has been waffling, but hopefully you've enjoyed it. Didn't really have a structure to it. Just kind of wanted to get my thoughts out. Obviously, I'm passionate about it, but yeah. FM26, what do you think? I'm still not sure.